Hello, everybody, and welcome to the White Howder YouTube News Show. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Darren.
Let's get into some news stories, shall we?
In the news.
First news story and highly anticipated update.
Elon.
New Starlink feature lets you travel with your internet service for an extra $25. So, Starlink has finally rolled out the feature to allow people to be mobile with their Starlink dishes. So, people who are traveling, camping, RVing, or who, I guess, travel a lot can take their Starlink with them for an extra $25 a month.
Now, I've actually seen on sites like TikTok and some of the others that people are kind of found a hack around to do this anyways. It takes a little effort to do it. But this is kind of a cool addition, right? To allow people to do something like this. So I think you're right. I think people in the RV who love RVing. I also think people who live in remote locations, like cabins and that kind of stuff. This is going to be a really good option for them to stay connected if that's what they want to do. So even though they're off grid, maybe they can go on grid if they want to do whatever it is they want to do, like research or whatever it is they're doing. I also think it's kind of cool because, you know, here in Canada, we have a real digital divide with regards to connectivity because there's some communities in Canada, especially those First Nation communities in northern parts of our country that don't have internet access, right? Because, you know, Shaw, Bell, whoever it is, just don't get up in there. So I do think that this is also going to become a very good option for northern communities as well to get connected to help shrink that digital divide. Yeah,
again, not a cheap solution. So, you know, you're looking at for a total with this and the mobile package together, it's about $110 American.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly cheap, and the setup cost is about $600 American for the actual equipment. So, but if this is your only option for broadband internet because your provider is choosing not to provide your community with broadband,
or they have none, right? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if northern communities may be able to get eventually the government will provide a grant, right, to maybe provide
to subsidize,
to help subsidize
costs. Like maybe they won't subsidize the monthly cost of like $110.
No, but the original startup.
Yeah,
you know, I think that might be a good idea.
See that could be a really good benefit, like Canadian government program.
I agree. And, you know, the federal governments and most provincial governments are really pushing about, you know, shrinking that digital divide. And I think this may be a good way to do it, especially for those northern communities who don't have internet connection.
Yeah. I just think that, I mean, Starlink is doing some really, really interesting world-changing technologies where we will have internet pretty much. Ideally, their objective is anywhere around the globe. Yeah. And if they can shrink that technology and make it like a chip on your phone, imagine that.
Yeah. Like Dick Tracy all over again, right? You actually saw last week or the week before, you got a picture that you posted about the streak through the sky. It looked like UFOs, but it was actually Starlink, wasn't it?
It looked like 4 drones, like the drones you'd see in like a light show.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was a drone, but no, apparently it was apparently the news reported on it, and it was apparently a Starlink satellite.
Oh, there you go.
Being launched into space.
Cool.
So
cool. Elon Musk, there he goes. I hope Starlink and SpaceX will stick around because I think Elon purchasing Twitter, I think is going to be a money like it's like, oh my God, I think he's created this financial hole that is just going to gobble up a lot of his money. So let's hope that doesn't happen because I think he's doing some really cool things, like him or hate him. He's doing some really cool things when it comes to SpaceX and what he's doing with Starlink as well. I truly do.
Yeah.
Kind of cool.
Next article. The CDC bought access to your location.
What's the CDC?
Data.
Oh, that's the Center
for
Disease Control. That's in the U.S., right?
This is the U.S. CDC.
Shouldn't surprise us.
So, reportedly, they purchased people's location data from a private data brokerage firm.
Right.
And apparently this firm has been banned by Google already. So, I mean, like, that's saying something.
They were banned by Google?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Google is the worst offender when it comes to collecting data, and Google banned them?
Yeah. Google banned this company, and then the CDC. So this company had offered the CDC. So the company reported was SafeGraph. Yeah. It's a private data company, and they provided the CDC with 1 year free access to its data sets related to COVID-19 procedures, tracking, all that stuff. And then after the year finished, they then charged them for the data. So it was reported $420,000. It's actually not that expensive for like a government entity like that.
But you got to wonder what kind of data were they actually collecting, right? Like
reportedly, it was location data. So location data, like how did they get the data? Well, again, these brokerage firms collect and purchase the data from
Yeah.
everyone who sells it, and then they aggregate it together to provide a data set to companies.
Now, just recently, I just read last week that there's some privacy investigators here in this country at the government level looking at
Canada.
looking at how Canada, because Canada also used a COVID tracking app.
Well, you used an app and gain data from the app.
Yes. So, but there's some issues there as well. Like they're really concerned about what were they collecting and how much of this information was being collected and observed by Canadian government, and what entities in the government were gaining access to that information. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes.
Which is a bit of a different story, because that was data collected within the app, which would have been in the app's privacy policy.
Right.
This is a story where basically
I see.
private data was purchased by a public entity,
Right.
and the data was collected from all kinds of potentially unsavory ways.
Gotcha.
So, this happening in Canada would be a huge no-no.
Yeah.
Because, we have a privacy regulator.
Yeah.
The U.S. does not, which means anything kind of goes.
Well, I think depending upon the state you're in, they may. Right?
Yeah,
but not
federally
Yeah,
speaking.
not federal.
And most states don't have a privacy regulator.
Yeah.
Like I know, like California has.
I think California does. Yeah.
I don't know if they have they definitely have privacy laws, but I don't know if they have a specific regulator.
They must. Who knows? But they must. I'm pretty sure they do. Right? If they have these privacy laws, they probably have a regulator as well. You would think.
Well, because you have a law, it doesn't mean you need a regulator for the law.
No, that's true. But I who knows? Who knows? But it's interesting to see, if Google banned them. Now, Google probably saw them as competition, right? So that may be another reason why Google banned them, right? So,
but again, generally Google has set procedures on how it collects data and what's allowed and not allowed.
Yeah.
Again, the question is how did SafeGraph acquire the data that they sold?
Although Google probably does exactly what they say they don't let other people do on their platform, right? Just saying.
Possibly.
Just saying. What's the next one?
NFT market collapses. A couple stories on this one, but the main one here is we have seen over the last few weeks where the sale and purchasing of NFTs have kind of...
What are NFTs again, Brendan?
Non-fungible tokens.
Which are?
They are a data technology in order to authenticate a item, image, video, authenticate some kind of digital good.
Yeah, like for the older people that are watching, like a baseball card is a good example, right?
Similar.
Yeah,
kind of.
Right. Kind of.
Except baseball cards can be multiple of the same one.
But let's say it's okay. Yeah. Or a piece of unique artwork, right?
Yeah. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
So we are seeing over the last couple of weeks where people who have purchased a digital item for thousands of plus dollars and hoping to sell it for even higher are getting lowballed on their offers to purchase. So they are basically losing money because the value of what they purchase has dropped dramatically.
We predicted this a year ago here at the White Hatter. If we brought out our White Hatter, our crystal ball, we said about a year ago on one of these shows that I don't know. I think this might kind of be something that's going to go by the way of the dodo bird. I think a lot of people are making a lot of money right now, but I think people are going to be really disappointed in the future. And look at this, a year later, bing, bang, bong, right?
Not to say it couldn't jump back up because that's how markets work. But again, my kind of opinion on this, NFTs provide no actual viable fix for a problem. They're just a thing.
Yeah. But the platform that NFTs uses, which is blockchain, is kind of cool, right?
Yeah, blockchain is a very interesting technology in how it functions in decentralizing data sets in order to authenticate. And I do know blockchain is a huge discussion. There was a city, I didn't put it in the show today, but there was a county in the US who approved for the county itself to start mining Bitcoin.
Oh, interesting.
At the county level.
Interesting.
So that's very interesting. And obviously we have some political parties here in Canada who are looking at blockchain as a form of currency in order to tackle inflation. Which is an interesting perspective. There was a country. I didn't put it in the show because it wasn't, I guess this kind of ties in. There was a country.
You're going off script.
I know, going off script. There was a country last week that announced that they're making cryptocurrency an official currency of the country. I can't remember which country it was.
Russia.
No.
They have no other option.
Well, yeah.
Right? They have no other option right now.
Fair enough.
What's going on?
It wasn't Russia, but it was, Anyways, So that's what's happening in NFT blockchain news. Things are kind of spiraling down a bit.
All right.
Next article. Federal judge dismisses Trump's lawsuit against Twitter.
Or Orange Crush.
Yeah.
That's what I call him, Orange Crush.
Trump was banned on Twitter.
Go figure.
He said that was a freedom of speech violation. Federal judge was like, it's a private company. They can do whatever they want like any other private company.
Yeah, I mean,
Twitter is not a public forum. Facebook is not a public forum. They are not bound by the same level as governments are and being out in public on the sidewalk.
Yeah, just a big crybaby because he didn't get his way, because he was banned. He decides, let's sue, because that's all he does. He just sues, right? So, but as a result of that, he's now started up his own TikTok-style social media platform called Truth, right? Or
something like that. Yeah.
Anyways, there's some talk right now that Elon has taken over Twitter, that maybe he will unban Trump, but Trump has said publicly right now that even if he gets unbanned, he won't join Twitter again.
There are actually shareholders who have stopped the purchase because of a lawsuit happening right now.
Well, it'll be interesting.
So we'll see where that goes. Yeah, but anyways, the story here is basically Twitter is a private company like every other social network out there. They can ban whoever they want. Now, that's a huge question. Is there a degree that a social network gets so huge that it should become a public utility and thereby be bound by the same...
That's the argument that they're making in the United States, right, at the Senate hearings that are going on right now.
That's what they're making. Yeah. But again, the whole issue is, again, that goes against the United States philosophy as private businesses are private businesses. Government shouldn't tell me what they should and shouldn't do. Although, So... yeah, that's, anyways, Twitter.
Too bad they don't apply that to the human factor as well, given current things that are going on in the U.S. right now. Anyways, this is an interesting one.
From here in Canada.
Canadian, right?
A judge awards $125,000 to Kitchenette woman targeted in an online harassment case.
We're seeing this more and more. Canadian law is catching up to what was going on online. So this is one of several cases that I'm now aware of. This is the most current one where somebody was defamed on a variety of different social networks, including The Dirty, where things were being said that weren't true, and the person thought they were anonymous, but they weren't. Their identity was finally figured out. And as a result of that, the victim of this defamation sued, and they won a significant decision, right? $125,000 decision in their pocket. So the courts are coming down pretty quick. In fact, the justices in this court case said, hey, listen, you know what? Enough's enough, right? When things are you have the right to freedom of speech in our country under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. However, you are also going to be held responsible for what it is you said. So if it's slanderous or defamation based, we're going to hold you accountable. And here's a really good example of that. Here in British Columbia, we know of a group of teachers that sued a parent who was saying things were just brutal about them in social media that was not true, and they won an award that was just worth over $500,000 for defamation, right? So I'm really happy to see that the laws in our country are now catching up, and so are judgments to hold these people accountable, because it's just another arrow in the quiver that we can use to go after people who think they can say whatever they want in social media without any kind of consequences. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now.
Yeah, that's about it. Basically, people posting anonymous online, being basically sued for their actions, and therefore having to pay a nice hefty fee for the things they said, what they thought was anonymous.
You're not as anonymous as you think you are, right? Yeah. So, interesting show.
And that's the show.
Interesting show. Well, I'm Darren.
I'm Brandon. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.